Welcome to Vineyard Church Dungannon, where we're walking together deeper into faith. The following message was given at one of our Sunday gatherings. For more information, visit vineyarddungannon.co.uk.
What I want you to do now, okay, is just take a breath, okay? Relax your shoulders. Don't fall asleep just yet. There's time for that, okay? But breathe. Breathe. God is already at work in this room. He's already at work in you. He's already at work in Dungannon. All the prayers for Alpha, all the prayers for church, the prayers that happened up there before the service, all make that really, really evident. So helpful then that I'm talking about prayer this morning. I'm going to make a statement here that a lot of people, well, some people would disagree with, but I think is absolutely true. Everybody has prayed, okay? I believe everybody has prayed. Maybe not to the right person or God, but if you've ever cried out, why God? If you've ever said, where are you, God? If you've ever said, please help me, God, or just please help me, God has heard you. He has heard your cry, and that has been a prayer. That has been a prayer. And I'm going to say this, another bold statement. We like to start bold, all right? And then you can all, you're so annoyed with me for the bold statements that you'll listen right the way through. See, it's just a tactic. Talking to God is easy. Talking to God is easy. Listening to God or not listening to yourself is a heck of a lot harder. Because, let's face it, if God is real, which He is, I absolutely wholeheartedly believe that. I'm not making that bold statement that I'm going against that, okay? But if God is real, He knows you. He knows your thoughts. Before you've even said it out loud, He knows what you're thinking. He has heard your cry. He's heard your prayer. And so if that is the case, then you have talked to God. You absolutely have talked to God before you've opened your gob. And that is prayer. But part of prayer, a big part of prayer, is listening to God. Because I can guarantee as well that God has spoken to you when you have spoken to God. Whether we hear Him or not is another matter. And if you're still thinking, I don't want that, I don't want to pray, or I don't want to do the second part of prayer, let me tell you where it all starts. It starts in the gospel. So, next slide. The idea of the gospel is one that most of us know, pretty much all of us in here will know, is that God created all. Jesus came and died for your sin, rose again, defeated death, and gave us a way to be in relationship with God. Took away our sin and made that bridge. But I've heard it put this way, and I quite like it this way, okay? There was a king, beloved by all, that was equally loving and just. And he was known for being equally loving and just. Well, they found out that there had been money stolen from the treasury. And so he made the decree that whoever was caught stealing money from the treasury, when they were caught, they were to go by the sentence of 10 lashes, because that was laid down in advance. It was 10 lashes for stealing from the treasury. But this went on for a while with no culprit. And so as the money went up, the sentence went up. And it got up as far as 40 lashes. Now 40 lashes was a death sentence, because nobody could withstand that. But the decree went out because that was the just thing. That was the law laid down. that must be enacted. Well, soon after this, they found the culprit. The culprit, unfortunately, happened to be the king's daughter. The king's daughter was the one that was stealing from the treasury. The king's daughter was the one that should take the 40 lashes, should be put to death. And everyone in the kingdom started to whisper, what's he going to do? Because he's equally loving and just. Is he going to not do it because it's his daughter? Is he fair? Is he just? Or is he just going to be loving? How does he decide? But the king, because he was just, said, 40 lashes. My daughter must take the 40 lashes because that is just. So, they brought her forward. They put her on the executioner's block. They tore open the back of her shirt. And just as the executioner was bringing back the whip, the king went in front, draped himself over his daughter, turned to the executioner and said, now whip. Whip her. Now the man, confused, said, but king, I can't get her without hurting you. You are the one that will die. And he said, do it. This is the gospel. Because none of us deserve the mercy that God gives us. None of us deserve that. We've all fallen short of the glory of God. Every single one of us. Even if we think or we know we're a really good person compared to the person next to us. Don't look next to you right now because that would be really bad, okay? Gail did it anyway. Couldn't help yourself, could you? Even if we compare ourselves to other people, all right, we still fall short of the glory of God. But God took the punishment for us. He took our punishment. And so if somebody did that for us, if somebody took the punishment that we deserve, that we still deserve, why would we not talk to that person? Why would we not talk to that person? I want to look at prayer in a bit of a funny way that I haven't really heard before, but it really helps me. After Jesus died and rose again, and the women at the tomb saw what happened and ran to tell the disciples. After all of that, there were two disciples who were on the road. They were on the road to Emmaus, and they were walking along. Brilliant. They were walking along, and somebody pulled up alongside them, not in a car or anything like that. Jesus walked up alongside them and started chatting to them. That's prayer, right? That's what happens in prayer right there. Jesus started chatting to them, but he didn't turn up and say, hey guys, it's me. Check it out, I'm alive. All right? He didn't do that. He said, hey guys, what are you talking about? He pulled alongside them and said, what are you talking about? Not look at me, look what happened, look how amazing this is, look at the wonder of this, bow down and worship me. He said, what are you talking about? What are you discussing together as you walk along? You know, sometimes blokes especially are really bad at sitting face to face and talking to each other. But it's amazing how much you can talk when you're in a car with somebody side by side or walking side by side because you're not looking them dead in the eye. And Jesus knew that and did that straight away. He went in on their conversation. He was happy to be where they were. He was happy to talk with them about what they were talking about. And he knew what they were talking about. But here's the thing. What they were talking about was interesting, and it highlights something in us. Next slide. They were talking about the past. See, the women had already went from the tomb and told everyone he's alive. But these guys were saying to Jesus, who they hadn't recognized, but we had hoped that he was the one who was going to redeem Israel. And what is more, it is the third day since all this took place. These guys had seen Jesus do miracles. They had walked with him. They had heard from him. They had given their lives over to him. They had followed him. But when he was walking beside them, they didn't recognize him. They were still thinking about 3 days ago when he died on the cross. That would have been horrible. But they hadn't been listening. They'd been talking, but they hadn't been listening. They hadn't listened when he said, I will rebuild this temple. They hadn't been listening when he said, I will come back. I will be here with you. They hadn't been listening. You see, when Jesus was on the cross, he said, it is finished. It is finished. He didn't say, I am finished. He said, it is finished. He has won. But they didn't really understand that, these guys. Not right then and there, anyway. He didn't say, I am finished. And if he's not finished, you're not finished. If he is not finished, you are not finished. We do not live in the area of he is finished. We do not live on Friday. We do not live in it was. We live in he is. He is alive. He is with us. And he wants your ear. And he wants your voice. He wants you to cry out to him. But he also wants to speak to you. And he wants to comfort you. And he wants to guide you. And he wants to challenge you. And he does this through prayer and through his word. So, if you're confused by now, all right, I'm going to make it dead simple. There's a place to start. If you're struggling to pray, there's a place to start. I went through something a while ago, and it was really devastating, okay? I'm not even going to share at this point. If you want to know more, come and talk to me. You can have a few details. But it pretty much destroyed me. Lynn would say that she just didn't see me anymore, that I had gone from inside of me. I was grey and I was gaunt and everything else. And it was prayer that brought me back. It was God that brought me back, but it was prayer, talking about it to God, hearing from God, that brought me back. On one level, it was this prayer in particular, the Lord's Prayer. Okay, sorry, that's a little bit small. So, I'm going to come down here. I'm going to say these words. If you want to say them with me, please do. And we'll try and keep an okay pace for you. So, here it is. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts as we forgive those indebted to us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For yours is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, both now and forever. Amen. Good job. Well done. You prayed. All right? You prayed. If you haven't done that today already, job done. Easy peasy. But here's the thing. Whenever I did that, okay, I knew that God was speaking to me, because every time I prayed, and I decided, because I'd seen something on TikTok, obviously, that I was going to do this every single day. Every day. And then after deciding that, I realized that it was on Lectio 365 at midday every day. The midday prayer was the Lord's Prayer. And so I did this every day, and every day the same line made itself clear to me. And then every day I had to pause at that line and say it over and over because I knew God was speaking to me through that line. And that line was, forgive us our debts as we forgive those indebted to us. For me in particular, it was I needed to forgive some people because that's what was eating me up inside. The thing that had happened, I needed to let it go. I needed to give it over to God. For you, it might be something else. For you, it might be something else every time you pray that prayer. But when you pray that prayer, God wants to speak to you. And I'm going to show you a video because this pretty much describes the journey that I went on with the Lord's Prayer. And when you start doing it, this is probably a bit like what it will look like. So,
Scenes, Part 29.
Please don't do that, sir. Please, I would love to sit by myself right now. There's something real creepy about you, pal. You want to get weird? Let's get weird. You got a nice face. An anger problem? Living with them? Are you kidding me? It's frustrating. It's like, just get a job. I like your hat. I like how it's not a team or a logo, it's just blue. Would you rather be covered in fish scales or feathers? Scales? Why, you weirdo? You want to see me jump really high? I'm afraid of dying, man. Who am I? Enemy is enemy. The enemy is the inner me. Do you understand a word I'm saying? You just nodded everything. I need to change, and you showed me that. I have an anger problem. Thank you. Can I get a hug?
right, I know. Right, I saw that and was like, yep, that was pretty much how it went. That was exactly what happened when I prayed the Lord's Prayer every day. If that seems awkward to you, yeah, it might feel a bit awkward, but it's going to be good. By the end of it, you'll want to give God a big hug and say, thanks for that. Not in a sarky way. That sounded sarky, didn't it? Yeah. Sorry. The disciples walking along the road, okay? It wasn't until they sat with Jesus, that they recognized him. I didn't actually know we were going to be doing this today, and I'm so glad we did. When they sat with Jesus, when he broke the bread, when they drank the wine, their eyes just seen something that they hadn't seen before. They saw who it was in front of them. When they sat with him, which is what you can do through the Lord's Prayer, you can sit with him, you can listen, then they saw the face of God. They heard his voice. They realized who he was, and then their minds were blown. I guarantee you, your mind will be blown if you pray, if you listen. If you continue to pray, God will highlight things to you that you had not seen before. You see, two things happen when we pray. And I guarantee these two things will happen at least, okay? The first one is that we build a relationship, and that's our foundation. That's really important, that we need to build a relationship with God. In any relationship, do you know what's really important? Communication. Do you know what's a really important part of communication? Listening, okay? Everybody knows that, even if we don't like to do it, all right? If you want stories, you can talk to Lynn. Even if we don't like to do it, we know it's important. We know that we're supposed to listen. Listening is key. But we also have to share. But God is inviting us, just like he did with the disciples, to share something that he already knows. But he wants you to come to him, to seek his face, and to say, I'm going to give a little, and God's going to give you a lot. For everything that we do give, for everything that we say, for everything that we share, God will give us so much more. And the other thing that we will definitely see and will definitely happen is miracles. You'll see miracles. You absolutely will see miracles. I absolutely 100% believe that. But when you have that foundation, that relationship, that listening and talking relationship, the miracles that you see will be much more varied and wide. They will be big and small. They will be in one person and in many. When you have that foundation, that relationship, that stronghold of talking and listening to God, especially on a daily basis, you will see miracles. You will see mountains move. And there's something that I learned in the process of this that I always thought, that was just a given, that, I'll not bother God with that particular thing. It just seems too small. I think it's something that I had inside me, that whole be seen but don't be heard thing that we maybe learned as kids, or whatever it was, or that is too small a problem to give to God. Or, let's just give him a day off. In Isaiah 62, it says this: give the Lord no rest until he completes his work. Now, that says he completes his work, not he completes my work, okay? Give him no rest until he completes his work, until he makes Jerusalem the pride of the earth. Give God no rest. God doesn't want you to hold back. He doesn't want you to not say things. You may have seen it online. It may be something that you hear a bit over the next while as we look at Daniel. Say the weird thing, okay? If you have a weird thing in your head and you think, I'm not sure I want to say that to God, God's already heard it. You may as well say the weird thing, okay? You can say the angry thing, you can say the sad thing, you can say the happy thing, the joyful thing, the weird thing. Just say it to God. Say it. Give him no rest, because he is jealous for you. He wants you. He wants you to talk, and he wants to talk to you. All the time, every day. He will not get bored of your voice. He will not get bored of your voice. He wants you. He wants to hear your voice. Use it. When it comes to preparing a talk on prayer, there are so many places that I could have gone, okay? So many. And probably so many that people were expecting, because there are so many people in the Bible that prayed, that talked to God. And there were even so many, there were a few at least, that you don't hear about talking to God. It's not really part of their story where they sat down and prayed lots. But they listened to God. Listening was part of what they did. I think of Joseph and Potiphar's wife. He knew what God wanted him to do, and he ran. Other people, like David, knew what God wanted them to do, and stood and fought. Paul knew what God wanted other people to do and killed them. Well, Saul did. And then Paul knew what God wanted him to do and spoke again and spoke again until people got angry with him. John the Baptist knew what God wanted him to do, and he prepared the way. From when he was in his mother's womb, by the way, he knew what God wanted him to do, and he prepared the way. And if there's anyone you're thinking, I'm too weird, John the Baptist was a weirdo. All right? So, read your Bible, go look at John the Baptist, and then think, am I weird? You might be weird, but probably not as weird as him. When we were up in the prayer room beforehand, I had the absolute pleasure of hearing Carolyn Black praying. If you've not had that pleasure before, I recommend it. And her prayer just hit me like an absolute battle cry. Like somebody standing up and declaring, we're at war. Let's do this. And I felt emboldened. I felt like standing up and going, yeah, come on. I don't think I could have put it better than Carl and myself. Karl Barth basically said the same thing like this: to clasp the hands in prayer is the beginning of an uprising against the disorder of the world. If sometimes you look around you and think, what the heck is going on in this world? And you start to despair, clasp the hands in prayer. And I don't know about you, whether it's the youthful part of me or the youth worker in me or just the excited person in me, the little Duracell bunny or whatever it is, but I've always wanted to be part of an uprising. You? No? Just be like, come on guys, let's go. Okay? That's what I'm like around Christmas as well, to be fair. So, come on, it's so exciting, let's go. And we're on the edge of something with this church. We have done amazing things in our community as part of Vineyard Church Dungannon. But I have a real sense that we're on the edge of something even different and again and more. And that the world is changing and the world does look disordered. But we have an opportunity to clasp the hands. Not clasp the hands or clasp the hands over our face and hide, but clasp the hands, put on our armor, get out the sword of the Spirit and go. Because God has prepared for us a way. God has got us on a path, moving forward together. He has something for us. And when we admit that we need God, I need you, God. I need to see your face. I need your hands. When we do that, we are emboldened. We are enlivened. We are excited. And we will be peeing our pants terrified as well. That might just be me. But it's a lot of fun. It's an adventure. I've already heard that word mentioned today, adventure. It absolutely is an adventure. I became a Christian when I was 5 years old. I am now 41 years old. Of every other thing that I can use to describe my journey with Christ, okay, there have been some really good times, some really horrible times. The one word that describes it all is an adventure. If you think it's going to be easy, if you think it's going to be boring, you are dead wrong. Life with Christ is an adventure. We need to build a relationship with Him by talking to Him, sharing with Him, and listening to Him. That's prayer. Just this morning, and this is to finish, you'll be happy to hear. Just this morning, a verse came across my screen as I was trying to settle myself. In Jeremiah 17, it talks about, I can't even read my own handwriting, it's hilarious. Blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord. He is a tree planted by streams of living water that will bear much fruit. If you want to bear fruit, plant yourself by these streams of living water. The living water is God. Plant yourself in prayer by these streams. You will be made alive, and you will bless others as well.
Thanks for listening to this message. For more information on what's happening in the life of our church, visit vineyarddungannon.co.uk.